What does a submissive woman do for her man?
Everything.
What does that mean?
You know, like packing his bag, unpacking his bag.
Damn! Stop treating people like the hell.
From baby daddy drama to wild Instagram confessions, Jasmin Brown and Cam Newton's saga has spiraled into straight-up chaos. Cam is out here flashing smiles, ready to parade his new woman, while Jasmin is heavily pregnant. And the whole thing looks like a live soap opera playing out online in real time. What should have stayed private has now turned into a circus, a messy morality show unfolding right in front of us on podcasts, social feeds, and endless gossip blogs.
But you will, and I say this with all respect and love, what I'm about to say next, okay, Cam? But you will selfishly create broken families.
It's exposing the ugly truth behind the perfect image Cam tries to sell versus the raw reality that's cracking apart behind closed doors. But let's be real. This feels like watching a woman break down in public, clinging to a man whose history already screams red flags. Even a psychologist once looked him dead in the eye on his own show and warned him he'd spend his life building broken families. And guess what? That prediction is hitting harder than ever right now.
I mean, he's spoiled. And you know, when I talk to my girlfriends about it, I was like, oh, how you guys doing? And I'm just like, girl, he's rotten. I'm like, he's spoiled rotten. Like, he's rotten.
And if you missed how this drama truly exploded, let's rewind for a second. It all kicked off with Jasmin Brown dropping a raw, emotional post on Instagram that had everyone stopping mid-scroll. In a brutally honest moment, she admitted she'd be terrified to ever have a son with Cam Newton, writing, "If God gave me a son, I'd be so nervous because I feel like I subconsciously raised him to be a man I could only dream of. Never experienced, and that's traumatic." The internet lit up instantly. People weren't buying this as just a passing thought. To many, it read like a direct shot at her own relationship, a confession that things are way darker than anyone imagined. Now here's where things really sting. Jasmin is pregnant with her second child by Cam, his 9th baby overall. And for her to say something that raw out loud was like ripping open a wound for the whole world to see. It wasn't just a passing vent. It was a confession of heartbreak, showing she's realizing the man she's building a family with isn't even the kind of man she'd ever want her son to become. That's heavy, especially coming from someone who's defended Cam tooth and nail in the past, which is why her words hit so hard. But if you've been paying attention to Cam's messy history with women, then you already know how predictable this is. Cam has always been strangely open, sometimes way too open, about his twisted takes on love, loyalty, and commitment. He'll tell on himself every time. Let's not forget, he was locked in for years with his ex, Kia the chiropractor, and they built a whole family together. But after 4 kids, Kia finally had enough, and she was gone quicker than anyone expected. And here's the kicker. Despite building that long-term setup, despite raising an entire unit, Cam never gave her a ring. Not once! That's just who Cam is. He's never been shy about putting his women on blast or parading their pain in public. The same way we're watching Jasmin's business spill everywhere now, he did the exact same thing with Kia. On his very own Funky Friday podcast, Cam straight up admitted that marriage was never his ultimate goal. Like he wanted the perks of a family without the responsibility of actually locking it down. Cam's cool with fathering kids left and right, but when it comes to putting a ring on it, that's where he draws the line.
I grew up in a 3-parent household, my mom, my father, and my grandmother. And I knew what a woman was, not a bad bitch.
Okay, what's the difference?
A woman.
His whole philosophy is basically family without a contract. And that's where the drama really took off. Because after things fell apart with Kia, instead of just keeping it simple and co-parenting, Cam dragged the whole mess into court. He hit her with a paternity and custody case, and then pulled one of the pettiest stunts we've ever seen. He actually sued her to get back the Bentley he had gifted her. But everyone knew it was never just about a car. People close to the situation said it straight. That lawsuit was nothing but a passive-aggressive power move. His way of trying to intimidate Kia into living by his version of normal, no matter how twisted it looked. That whole Bentley drama, combined with the way he talks on his podcast, made it crystal clear. Cam loves to brand himself as this super dad and family-first man, but his actions don't match the image. And trust me, the public noticed. Because nothing screams hypocrisy louder than preaching about fatherhood while suing the mother of your 4 kids over a car you willingly gave her. And here's the kicker. Cam's image has always leaned on these so-called traditional views about women, which have been one of his biggest talking points for years. But plenty of people have called him out for how old school, borderline patriarchal, and outdated those views really sound. On his own podcast, he even laid it out clear as day. In Cam's world, a boss baddie isn't defined by her career success or her independence. Nope. To him, it's all about how well she plays the role he wants her to play. In Cam's playbook, a so-called real woman is one who can cook, stay quiet, and let a man lead. And if she doesn't, then she doesn't fit the part. Of course, the internet tore him apart for those outdated comments, but let's be honest, Cam has never taken a single word back, not once. And he probably wasn't even fazed, since in his mind, women are supposed to submit and fall in line anyway. But here's the part that really makes people stop and shake their heads: the sheer irony of it all. Because this is coming from a man who, as a licensed psychologist once pointed out on his own show, Bump.
And I think a lot of times when you get that aesthetic of like, I'm a boss bitch, like I'm a this, I'm a that. No, baby, like, but you can't cook.
Okay.
You don't know when to be quiet. You don't know how to allow a man to lead.
Selectively chooses when he wants to show up as a father and partner. He picks and chooses where to be present and leaves behind a trail of dysfunction when he's not. Yet somehow, he's still trying to lecture women on how to properly build a family. And just when you think it couldn't get worse, Jasmin Brown jumped right into the circus. For years, she carved out her whole brand as a comedian and social media influencer by roasting pick-me women into oblivion. Her fiery, cutthroat comedy sketches were built on tearing down women who bent over backwards for men who didn't deserve it. She literally crowned herself the anti-pick-me queen, the loud, unapologetic voice for self-respect and refusing to tolerate the bare minimum. Jasmin's message came sharp and strong. Never be the woman carrying all the weight. Don't be the one stuck scrubbing the kitchen, covering the bills, playing therapist, and holding everything down while he sits there tossing you scraps in return. Jasmin once stood as the voice for every woman fed up with carrying dead weight in relationships while men sat back doing the bare minimum. That's why her current situation feels so bizarre. It's not just a contradiction, it's a full-blown role reversal. And people can't stop whispering, has Jasmin turned into the exact type of woman she used to roast into the ground? The irony here is impossible to miss, because it looks like she's now living the very nightmare she used to clown. The moment she fell head over heels for Cam Newton, everything flipped. Just like that, her whole anti-pick-me philosophy went up in smoke, right in front of the very audience that once praised her for preaching independence and self-respect. Interview after interview, Jasmin shocked fans by doing a complete 180. Instead of roasting women who bent over backwards, she started praising her new role as what she openly called a servant to Cam. She bragged about knowing his every need before he even asked, about packing and unpacking his bags like she was his full-time assistant, and even scratching his back until he fell asleep.
Hey besties. I know I'm gonna offend some people, but trust me, this is coming out of love. This message is for all the pick-me's. Pick-me's are women who try to do everything right just so a man can choose me.
At one point, she proudly declared she actually found joy in serving him. And let's be real, the way Cam gets women to flip their whole identity like this, it needs to be studied because this switch up is wild.
Play. If you are making a man's life easier, i.e. cooking, cleaning, providing whenever he wants and he's giving you the minimum, he's never going to do more.
For fans, it was like watching someone step into a parallel universe. This wasn't a small change. This was a total transformation from I'm a boss who demands my man meet me halfway to my happiness comes from serving him. That shift didn't just sting on a professional level for her brand, it felt like a personal betrayal to everyone who believed in her message. Watching Jasmin embrace the very role she once ridiculed felt like pure hypocrisy, and the internet did not let it slide. The dragging was immediate. harsh, and merciless. Because people don't forget when you build your whole brand preaching one message, only to live out the complete opposite. One user cut deep with a comment that went viral. Cam out here making single moms just like Nick Cannon. That single line became the rallying cry online, repeated over and over because it perfectly summed up what everyone was already thinking but hadn't said out loud yet. And that was just the start. The internet came with claws out, pointing straight at the glaring contradictions in Jasmin's own posts. Sure, she had a handful of sympathetic voices saying, even the loudest critics of toxic relationships can get trapped in one, but the majority weren't buying it. To them, this wasn't some tragic accident. Jasmin walked straight into the fire with her eyes open, ignoring a pattern Cam has been displaying publicly for years. One of the sharpest comments that cut straight to the bone read, "Cam is weird, and the women that deal with him clearly got something going on too." And honestly, that captured the mood. Because yes, people have been holding Cam accountable, but they've also been side-eyeing Jasmin's judgment. At some point, she's gonna have to face the truth. She played a part in her own downfall. And here's the kicker. Jasmin's emotional Instagram post didn't feel like just another update. No, it came across like a desperate cry for help disguised as a caption. Sure, it read like a jab at Cam Newton, but underneath, it felt like a raw, unfiltered breakdown in real time. Almost as if Jasmin was admitting to herself and the entire world that she had become the exact type of woman she once mocked. Here's the wild part. While some folks believe Jasmin has finally seen the light and might pull a Kia Proctor move by packing up and leaving, the truth is, it's hard to picture her walking away anytime soon. Despite all the humiliation, the dragging, and the spotlight burning on her, Jasmin knew exactly who Cam was before, and still chose to have one baby with him, plus another on the way, which makes baby number 9 for Cam. She might stay just to prove a point, to save face, or to pretend like everything's fine. But best believe, this won't be the last meltdown we see. If anything, this is only the first of many public outbursts Jasmin will have while dealing with the real Cam Newton. And that's the painful sting. The honeymoon is over, and the mask is off. The truth is brutal. Jasmin saw the red flags. She preached against those very same traps for years, and yet she still dove headfirst into the fire. Her breakdown wasn't just about Cam. It was about the gut punch realization that she's become the very type of woman she used to clown. And the coldest part in all of this? Cam hasn't changed. Not one bit. And that's where we'll leave it for now. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments. And I'll catch you in the next one.